like to welcome all participants of this great event. I'm Ethem Tokgözlü, life sciences expert at the investment office for the Presidency of the Republic of Turkey. I hope you enjoy all the informative content that is provided by the distinguished speakers of today's great event. In this presentation, I will try to give an overview on Turkey's pharma industry with a special focus on biopharma sector. You will have a chance to see the developments in the Turkish pharma market, the biopharmaceuticals industry, and the key drivers of growth. We believe, and the figures indicates, that Turkey is an attractive destination for life sciences companies with its $35 billion healthcare market and capable industry players. I will begin with a general overview of the sector, going through some data and figures on the pharmaceuticals industry. As you can see in the figures on this page, Turkey's pharma market has experienced tremendous growth in the last decade, which positioned Turkey as the 18th largest pharmaceuticals market in the world compared to being 22nd in 2014. No other peer countries demonstrated similar performance in the same period. As one of the most outperforming emerging countries in both industrial and economic developmental terms, Turkey continues to be one of the drivers of growth in the pharma sector. Turkey has a reimbursement scheme covering 96% of the pharma market, and originator drugs dominate the market with 66% in value. The Turkish pharma market demonstrated more than 3 times growth since 2010 in local currency terms, with a 12% compound annual growth in the same period. Similarly, it's possible to follow the growth in the market by following the number of units sold. In 2020, 2.2 billion units sold in the Turkish pharma market compared to 1.6 billion units in 2010. Along with a strong domestic industry, imported drugs still constitute a large share in the healthcare expenditure in Turkey, valued at around $4.8 billion. Among others, originator drugs, blood products, vaccines, and biosimilars have the largest share in import figures. The EU is the largest import partner, constituting approximately 70% of the imports in pharmaceutical products. The fact that Turkey is well connected with the region through customs union with the EU and free trade agreements with 28 countries, and that it has geographical proximity to some of the highest import markets in life sciences industries, have resulted in Turkey positioning as a manufacturing and export hub. This moves us to export figures, where we have a sharp upward trend in the last years. As you can see in the graph, 99% growth has been experienced only in the last 3 years, which carries Turkey's annual pharma export figures to the level of $1.8 billion. Now Turkey has a very diversified portfolio of export partners, which were 170 in 2020. South Korea is the leading destination with $400 million of exports in the last years, while Asia constitutes 35% of the exports. All these positive figures are actually realized by the strong players of Turkish pharma industry. Here I want to give you some numbers and figures on the industry. Last year, the Turkish pharma industry has provided 12,000 different medicinal products for the market. 39,000 people are employed by the industry members, which operates 86 medicine and 13 raw material production facilities. Among the 80 major companies who operate these facilities, 20 of them belong to multinational investors. Now, 34 pharma companies have accredited R&D centers, which allows them to be supported continuously with the R&D incentives provided by the Turkish government. Let's talk in this part on the ecosystem that brings success and makes the market attractive for pharmaceutical companies. Turkey is the 11th largest economy, according to the purchasing power parity, just behind the UK. In 2003, the country was only the 18th on the same list. The dynamic behind this change has been a 5.1% compound GDP growth rate in the same period. In terms of growth rate, which enables Turkey to grow sustainably, major competitors in the region like Poland, Czechia, Romania, Hungary are far behind Turkey, and it's expected to continue in that way in the midterm. The growth demonstrated by the Turkish economy has created a burgeoning middle class that provide positive growth in most of the consumer markets, and healthcare expenditure per capita is not an exception to this rule. And the Turkish government actually aims to transform the education profile of the population in order to support the development targets and the needs of the critical industries. As you can see, it is relatively easy to find talent in this field of activity in Turkey. Around 190,000 students are enrolled in the graduate and undergraduate programs related to pharma industry in Turkish universities. Now we are in an important part of our presentation. Manufacturing and R&D investments are supported by lucrative and various incentives in Turkey as a state policy. Thanks to the prioritization of some industries over the others, production of biopharmaceutical products are regarded as critical and supported with one of the most favorable incentive packages, which is priority incentives actually. In summary, around 90% of the investment expenditures in the pharma industry may be incentivized through different instruments. This calculation is based on some assumptions and actually several other inputs needed to have a more detailed calculation. I would like to point out that the incentive schemes in Turkey was designed considering the innovation life cycle. Incentives for startups, project and product development, manufacturing, commercialization, growth, and competition are available for the companies in the ecosystem. We believe that this approach has pushed companies to act in a more innovative way. Today, 34 accredited R&D centers are operated by major pharma companies, and many university research centers in this field serve the scientific and industrial needs of the ecosystem. We all know that the protection of intellectual properties is a fundamental determinant of investments, especially in the pharmaceuticals industry. In this regard, I would like to emphasize the positive impact of the new law on the protection of industrial development, industrial property rights, entered into force by 2017, and the effective mechanisms to enforce the tightened regulations, like the establishment of courts specialized in IP cases. The figure on the right-hand side demonstrates how those policies impacted on the protection of IPs compared to the year 2007. The data is acquired from the PRA's International Property Rights Index. When actually it comes to the opportunities in the pharma industry, I think it's so important to mention some key policies which create a dynamic healthcare market, enabling global players to reap some benefits. The story goes back to the government's introduction of the Health Transformation Program in 2003, which ultimately aims to provide access for every citizen to quality healthcare services. In this regard, universal health coverage was introduced in 2006, and today 96% of the population has free access to public health services. Moreover, the government would like to support investors who wish to localize their products through reimbursement schemes and incentives, which provides the basis for the localization program launched in 2016. Further, the increase in the number of hospital beds and health personnel since 2002 also reflects the government's vision to increase public expenditure on healthcare sectors. I can say that Turkish pharma market and the industry are increasingly moving towards high value-added biopharmaceuticals. In the government strategy documents, the healthcare industries are listed among the priority sectors, and biopharmaceuticals are regarded as a subsector with strategic importance. In 2020, the biopharma market was around 1.2 billion US dollars, where biosimilars valued at 130 million US dollars. On the right hand side, you see the increase in the biopharmaceuticals markets. Biosimilars are relatively new phenomena and started to have a considerable market share in the last years. The directives are similar to those of the EU in this field as well. EU biosimilars guidelines are implemented, and substitution of biosimilars at the level of pharmacy is granted. And the last point I would like to highlight here is that Turkish manufacturers are very active in mostly biosimilar development and manufacturing. When it comes to the composition of the market, we can say that biosimilars have increased its share sharply in the last years. The numbers below of the graph on the left-hand side demonstrate the share of biosimilars in the total biopharma market. In 2013, it was around 6%, while it is now around 1/3 of the total market, total biopharma market. Why these figures are important is actually because the capabilities of local champions are mostly on the development and manufacturing of biosimilars. So the increase in the biosimilar share is so much related to the domestic companies' investments in this area. In terms of the therapeutic areas, oncology, anti-diabetics, and plasma derivatives constitute almost 2/3 of the market in value terms. The next slide is on the composition of the market by the origins of the biopharmaceutical products in the Turkish market. As can be seen in the pie graph, the 10 million boxes of biopharmaceuticals in the Turkish market is supplied by the manufacturing facilities in Turkey. More than 1.1 billion US dollars invested in the biosimilars business in the last years by the leading companies in Turkey. This have resulted actually in increasing the manufacturing and R&D base. Furthermore, global biopharma companies like Celltrion, one of the well-known biopharma companies in the world, a Korean company, partners with a Turkish company to manufacture their products in Turkey. The products are mostly exported to more than 90 countries from Turkey. I believe we will see more examples from Korean biotech industry having strategic moves in Turkey. When we say the R&D ecosystem, we mostly refer to the stakeholders, where the innovators can find around them once they seek to improve their processes, develop new products, new therapies, or develop new ways of doing their work. Especially since 2010, Turkey has succeeded in establishing a biopharma business ecosystem that supports R&D and innovation. You can see just some of the names of the organizations you will find out when you add Turkey to your business plan on this page. Apart from the incentives available to all projects, Turkish government has introduced another incentive program called Hamle. It's a tax-driven incentive scheme. It is a tailor-made incentive scheme where the instruments, rates, and amounts of support that will be included in the package is open to discussion with the government. Biopharma is included in the list as a priority area. In short, it is now possible to be granted by very high amounts of support, up to 200% of your total investment amount. The call opening for this program will be on in June 2021, and there will be a limited time for applications. Let's have a look at the distribution of the industry within Turkey and the value of the investments added on Turkey's life sciences ecosystem. Istanbul and the neighboring cities are home to major pharma companies in Turkey. Istanbul region is the most densely populated area with a huge market size and the logistic infrastructure. The business ecosystem are concentrated in that region. This attracts investors in the pharma industry. We have several other clusters of pharma and other life science companies. All these clusters are well connected to the transportation lines like highways, seaports, or large airports, etc. Before ending my presentation, I would like to give some figures on how these drivers or investments paid back in the forms of greenfield and brownfield FDI projects. Many international players have established new investment linkages with Turkey in the last 15 years. According to the FDI markets database, more than 40 greenfield FDI projects in the pharma sector have been initiated in Turkey since 2005, which were $725 million in value and created approximately 3,000 new jobs. On the M&A side, we have 15 deals where foreign investors targeted Turkish companies, pharma companies since 2010. And given that the deal values of only 4 are disclosed, the largest 3 deals are listed on the right-hand side. We believe this special event is a good start to your potential move towards Turkey. I invite all the Korean companies to get in contact with us to discuss more details. You can have my contact details on the below right side. Thank you for listening.